Meanwhile, check this out.
The Exorcist. It focuses on an adolescent girl possessed by the devil, and the ghoulish horror which results has been captured in one of the most shocking films in years.
It's been 50 years of fear. Do you remember where you were the first time you watched The Exorcist? I sure do. It had a visceral effect on almost everyone. People were screaming in the theater, some vomited, others were praying. Maybe they're still sleeping with their lights on half a century later. One practicing Catholic is looking back on the legacy in a documentary titled Fear and Love in Georgetown, 50 Years of The Exorcist. John Larkin, the producer, director, and editor, joins us now. Hi, John. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you, Christine. Thank you.
So talk about how your faith played a role in wanting to make this documentary.
Yeah, it's interesting. Growing up, I was too afraid to watch the movie. Like when I first heard about it, I was 10 years old, and you know, I'd see clips of it, I'd hear about it, and I could never get myself to actually watch the whole thing. So for years I went not seeing it and thinking I would never see it, and I finally sat down and I watched it at age 30 and had a really profound spiritual experience with it.
And you said this whole thing, it was like fate making the film. So how did the stars align for you?
It definitely felt like that. I mean, the big thing that comes to mind is running into Rick Baker, the makeup artist who was the assistant to Dick Smith, who was the makeup artist on the film. So he's someone that
The Exorcist.
on the Exorcist,
oh, wow.
ran into him on the street in New York City, out of the blue, same street, intersection, avenue. I mean, the odds of that are 1 in a billion. So I kind of geeked out when I met him, and I was just starting the process, and I had to tell him what I was doing.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have ever gotten that interview if I hadn't run into him. He's not someone who gives a lot of interviews anymore, but I think he saw my passion for it. And I think when you know, God helps those who helps themselves, right? So, I mean, I was going for it, and then, you know, you get help from God, and, you know, when you go through those things, I think so.
Absolutely. Really quickly, it's Halloween. Where can people watch the documentary?
Unfortunately, I wish I could say go here to see it. Still wrapping it up, and we're still dealing with the distribution and trying to see where it's going to end up. Hopefully, within the next couple months, I'll have a better idea of where we can see it, and maybe you guys can give a little update.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. John Larkin, the man behind all things fear and love in Georgetown, 50 years of The Exorcist. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, so you can't watch the documentary just yet, but you can continue to read all about The Exorcist legacy this Halloween in the tablet newspaper. Read about how Catholics at the time viewed the film, from the U.S. bishops calling it unsuitable to the priests and parishioners who loved it. You can find that edition of the paper at your local church on Halloween, or you can read about it online at thetablet.org. Cathedral Prep High School